Excuse me. Young fella, wasn't that all dependent on the outfalls that down Back Bay because the water was going in the river?
Well,
Three-quarters of the problem wasn't it? That's why it concentrated on.
Back Bay has always been a very compelling project because of the drainage issues, the flooding. We've touched on potential groundwater issues still from Temple Stewart, and knowing that the last time the infrastructure was even touched in Back Bay was when they put the sewer in the 70s. It definitely made for a compelling neighborhood argument for many factors, and that's why the town has been so successful, because it's always been a project that needs funding, a very good project that needs funding, versus finding a project that doesn't have money.
We've got the senior center, Phoenix Court, as the backup for the CB program. All right, second that.
Pat, this is for the backup. Number 5. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Virginia.
Yes. Yes.
What do we say? We'll better late than never. You have 15 minutes.
All right, everybody, take your shoes off, sit down, and you're alive.
Can I have a member of the board come up? First of all, I'd like to thank the selectmen for entertaining us for this evening. I know you have a busy schedule, and I know that since our past cooperation, and also in the spirit of collaboration, we want to share some goals and visions of the advisory board. Give you a little update since we reorganized. I think last time I came to the board, I talked about our reorganization. And if we did have a full board, I want to ensure that the selectmen are well aware that we've had excellent participation in the 3 months that we've had meetings. We've been quite busy in the last couple of months, not only doing reserve fund allocations as well as end-of-year transfers, but we've been busy on a number of other issues. When we ended up reorganizing and I was elected the chairperson, I felt it was my responsibility to provide the leadership and direction, such as the chairman of the select board we ended up doing on particular issues. The first couple of things that we'll be going over, I'm going to ask each of my members to end up telling you what we've passed as our advisory board, and I think you have copies here, so you can end up telling along with us. And the first individual I'd like to end up having to talk about is Joe Boyd about our
vision is the Finance Committee will be fiscally responsible to the residents and the business of the town. Templeton, so that the town has the financial resources to achieve its stated goals while minimizing taxes and fees on its residents and its businesses. Our mission is, of the Finance Committee, is to be effectively and efficiently safeguarded and account for the town resources, to provide financial-based services that offer all town departments the ability to deliver their programs and offer financial support to these departments and residents of the community. Also, to provide the leadership and the guidance to the town departments and residents of the community, and to ensure town departments deliver exceptional services while optimizing financial resources.
A follow-on to that is that you'll also see, we believe in transparency as to what we're doing for the community. You'll see this mission and vision statement on the website, the town website. You'll also see the minutes, as soon as they're accepted, not only be posted with the town clerk, but they will be on the website. The next thing that we addressed was some goals that we are looking to adopt this year. And I'll have Darren present those.
Okay, the goals that the advisory board voted to focus on for this particular year. The first one was to develop a document to handle end of the fiscal year account transfers for the advisory board and select board, as well as the accountant, to review and or approve. This is something that's already a work in progress and should be accomplished sooner than later. The second goal that we've set for ourselves is to develop and approve the advisory board vision and mission statements, which Joe just read for you, so that's one we can actually check off as mission accomplished. That's posted on our website, as Will mentioned. The third goal is to begin the budgetary review process for fiscal year 14 in the December to January timeframe, which I think is a little bit earlier than has been the case, but the sooner the better. The next goal is to establish a 3 to 5 year anticipated budget, beginning with fiscal year 14 by March of 2013. Again, that's a process that we're hoping to put in place for the long term. The next goal, develop and approve a set of initial financial policies for the town of Templeton. We've made some great progress as a board on that front, and that's a document that you'll probably be seeing sooner than later also. Develop and establish a schedule for stipends for town boards and committees. There was some discussion at a recent select board meeting about, or one of the meetings, personnel otherwise, about reinstating stipends, and the advisory board would like to look into how some of those stipends can be put back into place. And finally, as Will mentioned, our goal is to post the minutes and request for reserve funds document, as well as the end of the year transfers document and advisory goals on the advisory page, which I believe we have some of these already, but we're working on, once the rest have been created, we will post them there.
One of the things that we'd like to end up encouraging the other boards to, and committees, to adopt goals and to work towards those goals through this next year. If we go from year to year without goals, we won't necessarily meet any objectives. If you at least have some goals, you at least have the opportunity and the fortitude to think and drive for those particular goals. The next particular thing that we ended up running across, and this is because we ended up having a reserved request for monies from one of the departments, that we came across the documentation to provide to us to accept that was lacking. And that we had multiple documents for this particular request. Seeing that, we ended up looking at a number of other boards and committees with the best in practice. I won't throw these all on the table, but I did at my particular meeting, and I got plenty of attention. These are all the inputs that we got from all committees and boards in the community and departments. One of the things that we noticed was there were as many as 5 or 6 different ways people inputted into the time sheets every week for payroll. The other thing that we noticed is there was just as many ways that they were putting in for the accruals, vacation, sick, and personal. With the help of the town coordinator and also with his fair secretary there, the inputs that we got, we ended up having the timesheet that you have before you. You'll notice a number of things on there, and I'll just point these out as to why the color is there. The white areas are basically there as a black.
We don't have that.
Oh, you don't have? Oh. All right, let me talk to each individual one. Under the regular hours, the subtotal column, the OT column, the DT column, and the total hours, and all the ones, the numbers at the bottom, those have automatic files that end up doing the calculations. We made this as user-friendly as possible. All you have to end up doing is putting the date, time in, time out, whether you work overtime, whether you work double time, and that's not necessarily all the departments, but we took into consideration all the departments on this. And we took into consideration the vacation, sick, and personal time. So under those particular columns, if you put any information there, it's all done automatically. The other thing is that we also know that on the budgetary hours, you'll see a number there. We know that not all departments are working 40 hours, and that was to take in consideration that we had a number of cuts that were made, so we put the budgetary hours in there as to what they were actually working. And if you look at the hourly pay rate, no matter what the individual is or makes, it will do the calculations based upon that pay rate for the grand totals on the bottom. This presents two things that we saw lacking: accountability and efficiency, and it addresses that. Because if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, where we talk about the accruals, vacation, sick, and personal, those, believe it or not, those totals, if you look at the columns on the BS&P, actually come down in hours used and come right off of the accrual hours that are available. So that the balance forward is the actual balance after the week. One of the nice things that I think this will provide, since we don't have it on our paychecks, is I think it was either one or two of the departments that I had gone to. Employees were always asking us, how much time do I have? A copy of this, once they sign and accountable, whether they get it weekly or periodically, they'll be able to end up seeing with their sick, vacation, and personal time. Having that said, we're actually with very strong recommendations, because the first two also passed unanimously as well as this one. But this one passed with a very strong recommendation that time sheets for all the employees, because of the efficiency in tracking and also the accountability, that we would, at this particular time, would like the board to take and end up also voting their approval for this going forward, and have this adopted so we can start using it and get a little efficiency. I know we're looking at doing a new system as far as software. This may end up playing and make it also easier.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the employee timesheet as proposed by the chairman of the advisory board.
Shouldn't there be something under hours earned for that weekly timesheet?
That's under what?
Under, for their vacation, sick, and personal.
Yes.
For what they work that week, shouldn't there be something under hours earned for that time period? Or-
I didn't put it in, because that's something that they end up actually putting in. I want to at least show you that whatever was used to be taken off. If you actually end up putting anything in the earned column, because you have a formula in the balance, it also takes into account that. So if you end up putting any information into the hours earned, it will end up taking and calculating the balance of the accruals. Does that answer your question? It does.
Yeah.
Do different employees earn vacation, sick, and personal hours at different rates?
I can answer that. Yes, those employees under a union contract earn at different rates than town employees under the town personnel policy. They're similar, but they're different. There's no one who's a huge outlier, but they're slightly different accrual rates. And it will be the department head responsible for double checking an employee's timesheet to make sure those hours earned when plugged in.
Or we could have, when they offer, we could have it calculated based on the employee's name or account number. Automatically calculate for the hours.
Virginia?
The way Jeff explained this to me the other day, so I think that everybody has to hear. Basically, he's going to tell all of the employees either they pass one of these in every week or they don't get paid. And there will be no exceptions.
That's what they should be, for accountability.
Sue?
I just had a question for Julie's motion. Did she say effective what, when?
I didn't put effective date, no, you don't want.
We leave that to the town coordinator and the board to institute the date. We're just here to recommend something for accountability and efficiency.
I would say if Jeff feels it's reasonable, maybe October 1. That was the first week in October. I don't know how soon.
Well, we can't do it in the middle of the time. We can start pretty much
Like the first full
like the first full week of September.
September.
We'll start September. Well, it's a
So
holiday.
that would be next week. I just didn't know if you needed it.
It's a matter of what the department heads and their timekeepers will take the time to fill out the sheet and changes. And it will be actually the same amount of effort when you do it the first week of September, the first week of October. It's the switchover that's going to cause the effort.
Well, determining what everybody has officially right now.
We're very, very close to perfect totals right now.
One other comment I'd like to make, because there's some departments that say, well, this is more paperwork. In the scheme of things, the paperwork for the entire amount of employees putting in is about the same. For some departments, it may be slightly higher. But take a department such as the treasurer's office. 2 individuals, they actually put in 4 sheets to accomplish what this one sheet does for each individual. So that's 2 sheets for that. So it cuts their amount of paperwork in half.
Yes.
The folks, I have about 9 drivers that don't go into a computer to do this. How is that going to be worked out?
Is that because they're not fully?
They're on the road, they're not in the office. They come in the office, they have a manifest that they receive every day,
Yep.
and their hours are based on that manifest when they come back. So how are they going to get their hours into this timesheet if they do not access the computer on a daily basis? Another question.
That would be for the department head to take and keep track of that.
Another question then, also, I'm going to have to submit 2 of these because I'm half paid by Mart, which is a totally different account. There's 2 different accounts. One is for Mart, one is for the town. So am I still going to be turning in 2 of these?
this isn't account specific, it has an account number on it, but the tracking of your total hours is not account specific.
So do I divide my time, my accrued time, half by Mark, half by the town?
Yes,
You divide it in half?
yes.
Okay. And the issue with the drivers? Who's going to be doing that?
Who calculates their time now?
They do it themselves.
On the one sheet?
No, they have, if they work 3 days a week, they have 3 different time sheets. That all gets into the cover sheet that I submit every week.
So you do it.
No, the bookkeeper does that.
Yeah.
So the bookkeeper would be doing their time sheets?
Yes. Whoever's doing their time now will do the sheet. The bookkeeper will do it.
Wouldn't the driver themselves do it online and then submit it back? Well, submit it
Do
to,
it online. Anybody, this spreadsheet can be emailed anywhere on the planet. You can do it at home on your
So I'm
personal.
gonna have to get email addresses, email it to them, and then I'm gonna have to have and sign them?
No, the driver here, let me explain to the entire town of Templeton the reason why we're doing this.
I don't see why they're being done.
Whether the advisory likes it or not, you're required under state law to sign your timesheet. It's a matter of state law.
Right.
And we want a department head or supervisor's counter signature, thereby binding the department head or supervisor to the numbers on the employee's timesheet. This is accountability 101. And that's the driver. Actually, whether you do one sheet or two, yes, we want to collect all the other information. Yes, it's important. Without accountability, there is no governance. So the driver of this process is getting 2 signatures on one sheet that says, I agree I work these hours, and as a supervisor, I second that.
Okay, so I'm gonna have all of my drivers come in on Monday and sign these. Mind you, some of them work 2 days a week, some of them work 3 days a week on totally different days. So I'm gonna have to pay them to come in and sign the time sheet.
They can sign it on Friday if they're done with their work.
They probably won't be done,
Saturday or
some aren't
Sunday.
done until Friday at 4 o'clock.
What are they doing now?
How do you do it now?
It gets submitted on Friday and it's done on Monday morning.
They don't sign.
And they don't sign it?
Their manifest is signed off on. They initial.
No, it will involve a change of process in certain places. That's a fact.
I'm assuming, this is an Excel spreadsheet?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if anybody who isn't familiar with Excel here, it's fantastic and it's all formulated. So you just put in what, clock in, clock out, blah, blah, blah. Boom, it's done. It formulates everything else, there's no thinking to it. And, it's about time we all get on the same page.
Well, when
Good
you
job,
look at, when you look at the major departments, okay, such as highway, cemetery, and your sewage board, which I talked to also, they all have time clocks. It's a matter of transposing all that time onto the sheets. Dan, first.
So the process then would be for a person to use at their computer or something, fill in the spreadsheet and then print the spreadsheet so you can sign it, and then submit the printed form. So we won't be submitting them electronically.
That's correct.
And if people choose not to use the spreadsheet to fill it out, they can have a blank one and just fill it in by hand if they choose.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Is that
Diana can put it in the computer.
I can't see a reason why anybody would want to do that, but if there are people that want to do that, that's fine.
No, I think what he's saying is for the van drivers, they could just take a blank one, pencil it in, then Diana, who's the bookkeeper over there, could then enter it into the computer and boom, for them if they're not computer literate. Signature on file.
Hold on. When do we go on to the hard drive? When the treasurer does it or when they do it?
Define hard drive.
Well, so
The town's books.
So it calculates into the account.
doesn't. It's just, you must have a paper record on file for the auditors, and that's what this
I'm
is.
still going to get it.
Yeah, the data is still going to be manually keyed into the payroll system by a payroll clerk, currently Kiva. She still has to key the data in, which will come off of each of these sheets once they're properly submitted and signed.
Any, yes?
I understand the spreadsheet and how it's going to work. What I'm not clear on is the people in my department who are paid out of 2 different accounts. You don't want a spreadsheet for each account? So then it's, because I was told that the accountant or the treasurer were not responsible for determining how much came out of each account, that we had to supply the information.
How do you do it now?
I supply that information. I do
Who do you supply it to?
Actually, I do 3. I give it to the treasurer on different spreadsheets. At the top of the spreadsheet is the account number.
So I would assume you have to include it in the book.
Yes.
Okay.
So we still have to do the 2.
Okay.
Yeah, that way we can keep the. Any other discussion?
Have a motion on the floor. The motion on the floor, just to repeat, is to adopt this time sheet, and I don't know, do we come up with an effective date?
Monday, September, Labor Day, the 3rd.
Suggestion?
Yes.
You might want to think about instituting it around October 1st, because at the beginning of the second quarter, first of all. It gives an extra month to get people familiar with the process. You may want to take at least 1 pay period and submit the papers and compare it against whatever method you currently have to see if there are anything falls out of it.
That's probably going to just get their own.
But this means nobody will take it seriously.
Well, no, because once you institute it, if they don't submit the paper, they don't get
They
paid.
don't get paid.
That's what I'm saying.
With that educational orientation, maybe.
Diana?
They didn't have to, the employee didn't have to sign a pay. They every week.
I would think so.
Yes, the employee.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
I was thinking, maybe you guys should just make a motion to accept this wonderful spreadsheet, and then maybe Mr. Ritter could have a department head meeting at some time and tell everybody how the heck to fill them out.
I didn't put a date in my motion.
Just so everybody knows, this is a requirement that's been in the personnel policy for a long time. It just hasn't been enforced. It's been in there for a long time. A centralized sheet of all approvals and everything is supposed to be coming for, says personnel policies. It's been in there, it just hasn't been enforced. All we're simply doing now is enforcing.
So you're resistant, you want to get paid to do it.
Let me just say this. We had 2 people in the private sector, one a manager, one a supervision, in private enterprise. We had very little discussion on this. Basically, it was the formulas in there? It looks good because it's got accountability from a perspective of management. It's the way to go.
No, people just don't like So we have a motion to implement the new payroll sheet, but we don't have a date on it, which is fine. It's just to take care of that. So we're going to take a vote on, hope to,
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And Julie?
Yes.
Continue on.
Thank you very much.
What else you got in the next, like, 5 minutes?
You know, hard for us to get out of here. The next thing is that we had come out and we're presenting to the Board of Selectmen for consideration and action a number of financial goals and recommendations that we felt it was more appropriate for the select board to address rather than the advisory board. Beginning with exploring interest rates on long and short-term bonds for lower rates. We know some of them cannot be done. We know that 252 is coming due, and that's going to be addressed also. But there are a number of them that are 5% that should at least be looked at. There's a potential savings here of tens of thousands of dollars to the community, and we're looking at it from that perspective. This next one, since we had 2 of the select members at our meeting, the board has already ended up doing is reestablish the insurance board in the first quarter. You've already accomplished that. That's a good goal for you. But they can say that you've accomplished without actually having the goal per se. As far as the insurance board, we need to end up seeking the town insurance for FY14, and it's been at least 6 years, if not longer. And as I alluded to at one particular time, when I had been in the treasurer's office, Debbie had an individual come from the insurance company. He looked at our present insurance and said, just looking at it at a glance, said, I could save 80,000 plus. So, I mean, there's a potential for savings there. It's been too long. And it's a competitive market, and I think that we should end up driving that. In the fiscal year 14, we need to look at centralization of the office supply purchases. Establish one centralized office supply area and develop a process to continually monitor the inventory. We have that ability if we move into East Templeton, by the way. We already have seen one room that will fit that very well, especially if you have that in your offices there. In FY14, centralize the procurement of all supplies for greater accountability and also a greater efficiency. Explore performance contracting opportunities for East Templeton Elementary School in order to consolidate town offices. That's one that I alluded to earlier when we talked about the block grants is one that we should also be looking at. Establish an inventory of all town items to better manage replacement and acquisition. And looking at things within the town-owned, I was told that we had a personal computer for the advisory board, but it's disappeared. Also was told that we had a digital recorder. Don't have that out either. And having that on an inventory and having a responsible party, advisory, or on the advisory, so basically it's a master listing on an Excel sheet of all our assets, either large or small. They will disappear if you don't. People lose track of things, whether it's done purposely or just people forget to bring them back to the community. We also have an opportunity, especially with the senior write-off program for the abatements. We could have seniors do that if they have the expertise and at least Excel. If not, we can end up helping them. This one here is develop a fund for employee separation costs, including benefits for unused sick, vacation leave, and other benefits. Now, we want to talk about two particular areas that we looked at this one. We didn't specify one over the other. We had an individual, because his appointment was not funded, we owed him some money. There should have been some funding already there for that, as well as retirement. You've got a long-term liability here that's opposing to all communities,
And if you at least establish a fund and start looking at that, and I will allude to the benefits of all of this later on, that we should actually look at that. And explore using CPA monies for the renovation of East Templeton Elementary School. Well, we've taken and looked at that, and at some later date, particularly after probably September 11th, and that's not significant because of what happened in New York. We'll be going to the Historical Committee, and we also went to the CPA Committee. And if that's a historical building and deemed a historical building, CPA money could be used to help renovate that and at least stabilize that. You have an asset right now that if we continue to let that building sit, it will deteriorate and will be no use to this community. Whereby 252 is not necessarily the same type of building. Saying that, we're encouraging the board to adopt those goals and recommendations, especially those for East Templeton, and we'll be back later for information on the CPA. The last thing I want to end up presenting is, so my board members will bring this up, is a financial policy that was written by the advisory board and approved by the advisory board. In fact, all of the things that we bring to you this evening were unanimously approved. That doesn't necessarily mean that the board approved everything unanimously. There was a number of things that we didn't approve unanimously. We'd like to think it about coming back sometime in September, hopefully in the September 10th timeframe. And we'd like to think it end up having the board review these policies. Because what it does is it gets better financial management for the community. And we're hoping that after you've looked at them, that you adopt them at the next meeting if you have any questions. Financial policies complement the budget process. Policies are long-term visions, not just from town meeting to town meeting or from year to year. Good policies stand longer with acceptance from different boards, such as yours and ours. If the two of us go forward with this, the community knows that we're looking for the financial well-being of the community. And lastly, even with the unfunded liability that I talked about earlier, financial policies do this. Bond rating agencies will improve our bond rating because they see we have financial policies and we're financially responsible. And we put things in place that help the community. Now, some of those, that being said, we know that some of those financial things in the policy won't necessarily be met for the first year. But we believe that if you don't have a financial policy, you will have nothing to meet. And you will continue to go on year after year. We leave you with that, and hopefully that you'll invite us back without controversy. Thank you very much.
Bill, I just had a quick question on your goals. You were talking about insurance. Is that health insurance or insurance for the town, like a liability insurance?
Both.
Oh, okay, both. That's it.
Yes. Because there's a number of things that have to be looked at from the perspective of the community. As everybody well knows that even in the health care sector, that even in the private sector, that they've actually upped the amount that employees pay, as well as deductibles, as well as other fees that are responsible. So that's something that the town needs to really look at to get more in line with what's really happening today, to try to get controls under as far as the costs are concerned that we get more control on that in the forthcoming year, because it's not going to be easy going for the next couple of years, I believe. Thank you very much for that.
Did somebody approach you on that, or did you approach the school, or how did that work?
The school asked me.
Okay.
If they could participate. I figured they were a school, a town department, received town taxes, so they should qualify. Do they not receive town tax money?
They get a lot of that tax money.
But this is taken from the town, taken from our side of the budget.
I had requested all the departments to submit a job title, a brief list of job duties, and who the supervisor was. I only received from 3 departments: the school, the library, and the sewer department. That was it. Nobody else submitted for help.
It seems like the police department should need somebody. They must have a paperwork up to here.
I've requested several times. I've requested 3 or 4 times over the past year for job descriptions and have not received them.
Well, they may be just,
It's in a program, we should just set it up, so I think we're in the process. We might get more information.
Just out of curiosity, was it was it Ruth Miller, or was it like the principal of the school? Or?
Actually, she had Sandy call me. Ruth had Sandy call me to see if they would be eligible.
Okay.
And then I spoke with Sandy and she asked. So I didn't see a problem with it. If it was a problem with it, I just need to know.
Anybody on the board?
staff meeting, update on this.
Is there anything we want to do at this time as far as them working in the school system?
Nobody else is asking for it.
I don't know.
I just think we should reimburse the town for if they're gonna fix something. That's
She's doing secretarial, she could do it in any department.
Right.
selectmen's office, and Don is good.
She's, maybe they don't realize.
Don is good, and he, honestly, if I knew Don was gonna be available, the assessors would have put something in.
I just want to give kudos to Eileen and Sue for working out this program. You don't realize how talented our seniors are. We have volunteers, it's unbelievable.
People, I can't share.
They're actually letting us know some things that perhaps we did not, like gossip and stuff, but just a different way of doing things, or the job's incredible. She took us to the highway when Anne Marie was out. Unbelievable talent. So that's a great resource that these girls are tapping into, so you should be very proud of them. So,
And I do know that the person that Irene placed over at the store department, Linda, just had nothing but praise to say and stuff like that. And I think, I mean, come on, it's so many hours a week. It's not going to replace, I mean, I think maybe if you let all the departments know, and she won't replace you. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, maybe that's what some of the time, but maybe through all the turmoil and everything that went on with the cutting of the budgets, maybe, because honestly, we were working with Lori to request somebody who could come in and vacuum and do that kind of stuff. Maybe if we got, maybe a maintenance kind of person. And I think it just, we kind of got too busy with everything else, and Lori leaving, we never got to finish our requests. Board of Health can do something right.
So I don't know if it's worth having a I see, to explain maybe to her that we don't mind that somebody works out of the school, but we would like some kind of reimbursement for work, because it's coming out, it's coming out of our taxes. The town tax base, not the school tax base.
Reaching to the wire, Mr. Chairman. This is a tax expenditure by any other name. We are taxing ourselves to give seniors a break. Everyone else in town has to pay higher taxes so that the people qualified into this program have their taxes reduced. We have not reduced the total tax burden of the community. It is the same. We have, in fact, given a benefit, a tax expenditure, to one group of individuals by taxing ourselves more. They do this in Washington, D.C. all the time. Now we're doing it in Templeton. And we, as a community, need to be aware of it, understand the cost of it, the impact of it, and recognize that where we choose to place the senior workers in our community are the people who benefit from the tax expenditure. The Narragansett Regional School District, with all due respect, is not the town of Templeton and is taxed separately from the town of Templeton. They have their own tax authority as a regional school district, which we pay a substantial part of, but so does Phillipston, so does the Commonwealth. And they raise revenues from a lot of sources. So the issue that's been raised is an important one to understand. I don't think it's going to be resolved this evening. It doesn't have to be resolved. I just think that Sue has raised a very good issue for us to be aware of. I'm happy to talk with the superintendent and see where she wants to go, but I think in the meantime, we should let people serve in the school while we have the discussion and see where we go forward.
Yeah, because I know, override, so I'm sure her filling in is helping her great. And so
I'll discuss it and report back.
all right, discussion on auditor sportsman's club building permit being waived. We have from I believe, the fees that they paid, the money they owed, right? So it sounds like the only thing not paid is just actually the building of the plant, which is $5,000.
No.
No, we did not.
make a motion to waive $1,000 from the building permit fee for the clubhouse. I don't think at this point we're in any financial shape to waive the whole fee. $5,000 is a substantial fee. There is work that does need to be done by the inspector in that area. So it's a compromise, it's a starting point to get the discussion on.
So there's a motion to waive 1,000 of the 5,017. Is there a second before we discuss? The motion on the floor is to waive 1,000 of the $5,017 clubhouse fee. And it has not been seconded yet. So I really don't want to discuss it until it's seconded.
I'll second it just for purposes of discussion.
Yeah, because we have to vote for it.
Well, the only reason I'm talking about this is that I've gotten fees, the fee schedules from a number of departments, and looking at how much fees that the building department takes in, they barely pay, if not for the secretary, let alone for the inspector himself. So I mean, I have to agree that you don't want to end up giving away the whole 10 yards here because we have a department that's really not self-sufficient.
Any other discussion? Anybody on the board? Seeing no discussion, we will take the vote on the motion to waive $1,000 of the fee. Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
Jeff?
No.
Patrick?
Yes.
So can we say no letter? Update on chapter 90 money. I have a very good Virginia. Says available money in chapter 90 is $415,480.
Yeah, I don't think that's sufficient to be able to make decisions, to base our decisions. I've written down a number of figures, and I'm not sure if they're accurate or not, from what I think we have committed. Phase 4, I believe it was 160, not up to 125. Phase 5, Fisher Street, was up to 125 because it was just one street. The Ballville Road, the engineering, is 131. Granted, that would be next year. Chapter 90 isn't the slam dunk it used to be. And so I think we need to be really aware of where we've pledged and committed money, especially Chapter 90 money, so that we're not in a situation where we've over-committed the amount of money that we have allotted. You know, we took money out for the damages for Baldwin Road as well, for the eminent domain takings. That was $4,900, plus we have to pay attorney's fees and filing fees as well. So once you start looking at some of these figures, and then there's a proposal, you know, if we do phase 6, that's another 25. It narrows our options as a town. We haven't built a road. Okay. You know, it'll be going toward Baldwin Road and back there. Part of that money does go to building the roads.
So next up, we have a few appointments. We've got 3 or 4 of them. Recreation Commission, 1-year appointment, Phil Melton, through 6/30/12. Stormwater Committee, Phil Ledger from the Board of Health, 1 year to 6/30/12. This one on top also? Lisa, go ahead. ACO, 28/27/12 to 4/30/12? 13.
4:30.
Why the 4:30?
It says 12.
Their appointments are always.
Oh, that's right.
4:30,
Right.
you know.
And then, Emergency Management Agency, Rob Sands, Assistant Deputy Director through 6/30/12.
Can we add some more? I would like to, first of all, I'm on the Regional Agreement Committee, and Kate says she has no verification of that. I've been attending meetings right along.
Did you get your card to get sworn in?
Yeah.
Then you're all set.
Well, I did it at that time, but that, that may have been,
That may have expired on the 30th of June.
that's what I'm saying,
Oh,
that
okay.
may be expired, so
And what committee is it?
that's,
Narragansett Regional School District Agreement Committee.
yeah, Regional Agreement Committee.
I'll make a motion to appoint Virginia Wilder to the Narragansett Regional School Agreement Committee to expire June 30th, 2013.
So there's 5 appointments.
And also, we would like to get I was talking to Beth, and I would like to, and said that was a good idea, to get the Government Study Committee up and running again.
And I think we'll have to have that discussion another time. Because, I mean, we have to put all the members and whatnot. Okay. So we have 4, so I need a motion for the others as well.
As read.
Okay. Second.
Second.
Yes, Dan?
Just a point of order, when you were reading off the appointment expiration dates,
Yeah, 2013.
it's 13, so because you're voting on it, I want
Yeah.
to make sure.
They're all 2013. They're all 6:30 except for Lisa. Okay. Lisa, 4:30. Yeah. That's what they say. All right. So, Pat. Yeah.
Yes.
Virginia.
Yes.
Then Jude.
Yes.
So you need to get a hold of the public services.
Yeah,
Except for one minute, what Virginia brought up, there is a government study committee, it's defunct. If the board would so direct, we could send letters out, invite people, if they're interested, to continue to participate, reform the committee. We've done that with several other committees, and I'd certainly take your direction on that if you would so direct.
And I would like the private road and the skate park, because I think there's actually a need for the seal code and the planning board to do the tennis court at the town center.
Okay.
But we definitely have a committee to be able to approach the planning board to get that done.
And so the state park committee?
Skate park is
Skate park
yeah.
committee.
Well, there was.
Well, it's the same.
It's the same as the other side.
Yeah. We never dissolved.
We dissolved the state group. It's gone.
So I'll send you,
Well, if they weren't meeting, can we put that in state house and public health, we put that on the police court hands? Because it's in public center.
Procedurally, if you can. Back to back.
It's not Parks and Recreation.
He's probably got better points, so more of a
Parks and
person.
cemetery.
Well, whatever, that's what I.
Well, no,
I get the Parks and Rec committee.
no, Parks and cemetery. Recreation.
Because I think, excuse me, can I speak? I think Alan's the one who knows what's running the skateboard park.
Right.
The one that